YouTube has gotten a lot more subtle with their censorship. I do like that they're not actually giving me a strike for the channel, but they're also daring me to appeal it, which of course I'm going to because it's bullshit. And then basically saying that they'll give me a strike if I, keep squirming. The video that they took down is one about the Parkland, what was it called? The Highland Park, excuse me. They all start blending together. The Highland Park shooting during a parade. He got up on a building and shot some people. Awake rapper Robert Crimo III, Highland Park, the rap logo, the Smith & Wesson M&P 15, and I also mentioned Wisconsin and the Caltech Sub 2000. Now, this is going to be an update video, mostly because they took down the other one, so it gives me the impetus to make an update video. What they complained about the video is I was glorifying violence. This is their go-to thing this week, maybe. You should all look out for being flagged now. But at least they didn't strike the channel, which is one of the big complaints all of us YouTubers had. Anyway, stating correct information. Robert Eugene Crimo III used a Smith & Wesson M&P. The Caltech Sub 2000, which is this break action, flip it over the back of itself folder gun, semi-automatic carbine, was also found, but it was in a car, I'm going to call it the mom car, not involved in the shooting apparently, so it's not even listed on Wikipedia as being a gun directly involved in the shooting. So basically just used the Smith & Wesson AR-15 alike. His rapper logo was a jagged version and sharpened version of a Bowen knot, like the Mac command symbol, not an Antifa symbol or other symbol. That's the thing I said in the video, and if people feel that I'm doing something wrong, again, I'll just repeat it. It's a Bowen knot derivative. In fact, when you look up that symbol and its origin, it says that it is. Doesn't matter that it's being used by somebody else for something else. For the majority of the time it's existed, it was used as a Bowen knot. It's not the conspiracy theory you think. He had 5 tally marks in a tattoo on his face. It keeps getting said he has 4 tally marks and then a line through it. That's 5 in tally marks. Anybody out there forgotten how to use tally marks? That symbolizes the 4 strikes and your hand with your finger crossing it. Like that, you could do, and that would indicate fully tested, counted 5. You can do math that way. He dressed up at one time as Waldo from Where's Waldo. He has been seen, or was seen, at various locations. He also cosplayed as being Agent 40 whatever from a video game, and one of the numbers he had tattooed on himself was a reference to that. All of his tattoos have a meaning that only he really knew. If you decide you're going to read another meaning into the symbology used as a rapper or on his tattoos, that's great, but pick something that isn't completely brazenly unrelated. And no, he's not Antifa or anything necessarily either. He's also not necessarily a Trump supporter until we find evidence of it. It has nothing to do with mystical symbology of the number 5 in hack marks. The press and police use the term high-powered rifle, but this is only actually an expression. It's not just an expression. It applies to 30 caliber firearms. 303 British up until the year 1960, and then from that point forward, 308 Winchester, 7.62 by 5.1 NATO was also added in as being acceptable as being full 30 firearms. It should be pointed out that 308 is also one of the most common bore diameter and bullet diameter and rifling depth, aka land and groove, formats. Making a barrel like that is extremely cost effective if you're trying to make money selling barrels, because they can just chamber it for whatever cartridge they have. And the reason I'm telling you that this applies to the term high-powered rifle has to do with that term being a pseudonym for full power or full bore rifles used in the International Confederation of Full Bore Rifle Association rulebook. It's the only place that expression really shows up, and it's been around since before 1960, so you have to presume the learned and very literate news people and police knew that high power or full power refers to 30 cal and above. It's a big heavy bullet going at about the same speed your standard 223.556 cartridge would go, but it carries more punch. It has more energy downrange, but depending on the bullet shape, it may drop more or it may not. After 2019, the International Confederation of Full-Bore Rifle Association rules allowed and permitted, only when it was needed for financial reasons, 223 Remington 5.56 NATO. So I don't really believe the police department was calling this a high-powered rifle when even by their own definition that they use, your standard 22 caliber rifle in the United States, which is going to be an AR-15 derivative these days most of the time, is full or high power. I'm tired of hearing people saying these it's not a high-powered rifle. It's a standard medium power or low power. It's a long range, depending on how you cook it up, or if you hand load them, but off the shelf, the 5.56 is not considered a full power rifle anymore. It's considered a short range by comparison by military standards. 30-06, 308, 303 British, any 30-something caliber or 7.6 whatever, 7 millimeter, 7.5 millimeter and above, and 30 caliber and above are treated as high power or full power. This is agreed upon by shooting competitions all over the planet that are based on the military definition of a high-powered rifle and the police definitions. And have been since the only rule change happened in 2019, and somehow now every AR is now a high-powered rifle. That's what I was objecting to. Oh, and there's also F-class shooting. They're allowing for 35 caliber and above, and they don't state that it's really based on foot-pounds and knockdown power and effective range. They're trying to keep things even, but people are able to buy, ARs cheaper so they can use those in a competition. They basically lowered the standard. And they allow for 35 caliber and up based on the idea that you might get, so it's actually more at a millimeter rating for shooting range that's different. Now, I mentioned that in the video, and that may have pissed someone off. Now, I'm going to point out some things verbally. Most of the shit is not going to be in the description because YouTube and Google are basing their bot behavior on what I'm linking to. Okay, I'm linking to Wikipedia and an archive of what the video said. That's too many layers removed for them to complain about what the hell it is they were complaining about. I'm pointing out at the time that I was correcting the press on calling it a high-powered rifle when it wasn't. Unless you're really, really using the latest definitions for competition shooting that isn't used by the police and it is not used by the military. It's not a high-power rifle. I also made a mistake thinking that the Caltech Sub 2000 was also involved because that was the initial report. I did not make a mistake on the tally mark or hack mark tattoo or the symbol or any of the rest of it. So, apparently I stated facts or had out-of-date data, but they flagged me for glorifying violence or the group associated with it. Now, I want to point out something. YouTube has implemented a new procedure where I'm not allowed to see the complaint easily. I'll try to find it if it's in my email. They might not have even alerted me. And they took down the video, and I, of course, appealed. And this time when I hit the appeal button, it didn't automatically send a blank appeal form like it did last time as a trick. But hey, at least they're not screwing over our channels because of something that's arguably not something they should be flagging us for. Do I believe he was a conservative and or a Trump supporter? I don't know anymore. I honestly don't. The initial impressions was, yeah, because he was seen at one. But then again, maybe he was mocking them. Or maybe he didn't give a shit one way or another. Or maybe he was doing it exclusively as a publicity stunt to maybe have something fun to put on his on the next album he was going to do. He was a wannabe rapper and musician that turned into a mass murderer. And it is his fault. And you can look up the latest data on it. I'm allowed to link to the Highland Park parade shooting, and you can look up the latest shit about him. And I'll include archived links that go to heavy.com's updates on him. Okay? But YouTube got mad at me and decided I was promoting violence. I do not promote violence. I point out people making conspiracy theories and debunking them. That's literally, I'm a one-trick pony. His dad sponsored a 2019 December gun license even after the September occurrence of him being reported as a family annihilator threat. That was dumb. Don't give him a gun. He has a clear and present danger and had suicidal drug addiction problems at the time. He would disqualify himself permanently if the federal government had their way, and obviously should have if his family didn't help him get a rifle. Dad and son decided the Denmark shooter was an idiot the night before. He got in via a ladder attached to a building, got on the roof of some building. I had a location figured out at the time. 10:14 a.m. he fired his legally obtained firearm 83 times in 3 volleys from 30-round magazines while wearing a disguise. I'm not bringing up what kind. Apparently maybe that pissed someone off. 12 were injured, 25 were shot, 7 are deceased. I put in the word lost. Now, if you're not aware of it, after 83 shots, bare minimum, that's what was counted up at the time. That's 30, like 50 shots. So he hit, well, basically just says 25 people were hit out of 83 shots. So he'd fire 3 times to hit 1 person, let's say. He was tracked down by the description of his Honda, 2010 Honda, and or the plate number, was captured with that Caltech rifle in the vehicle on his way to run to Wisconsin, potentially to do another shooting. He owned 3 pistols as well. He had, and this is maybe the problem, I mean, here we go. He had 4 tally marks with a line through them, or 5 tally marks, or the number 5 in tally marks on his cheek. The 47 tattooed on the right side of his head, cursive script for the word awake over his left eyebrow, red roses and green leaves on his neck, and other tattoos on his hands. He had cosplays, the Hitman Agent 47, and had a 47 on his corridor as well, and cosplayed as Where's Waldo Waldo. He had a Spotify and an IMDb page and 2 Twitter accounts, etc. They were all erased. However, the archives are available, and the link below in the description that's an archive will lead to a stack of other archives if I can. He had a blog spot that was set up by someone else. High-velocity rounds similar to the AR-15 were used, according to the police. No, it was an AR-15 act-alike. It was using the same cartridges. I'm not sure why they didn't just say, it's an AR-15 clone, it doesn't matter what the brand is, it's the same old thing you always assume is going to be there. The thing they should do when they start a conference, it wasn't an AR, or it was an AR-like firearm. They should just say that up front and get it out of the way. They still refuse to specify what high-powered rifle was used. Some countries only define high power as factory-made military-style weapons and or anything 30 caliber and above hunting rifles. This is barely qualifying because people have changed the definition only in 2019, only for competition shooting. So this is a giant fucking stretch, and I objected to it. The Wayback Machine, Archive.org, and Google are now redacting data about him. Period. And you could look up a YouTube channel that isn't his, apparently, but you could look it up. Suicidal thoughts and drug addiction and a clear and present danger and a family annihilator before he got the permit status. With his relative and friends and stuff allowing this to happen. Isolated stoner, completely lost touch with reality, and then his dad helped him, or somebody helped him. And then something about gun-controlled Democrat Nancy Rotering. I'm not sure where that came from. Someone to delete it, but apparently a relative of his kind of lost his mind. Don't know what's going on here. I can't find the reference for it, so I'm just going to delete it. But there was some other thing in the family going on, probably not associated with him. He wrapped himself up in a Trump banner at one time, attended a Trump rally as Where's Waldo, and got a Bowen knot or cross wrapper logo. And it may have been from a Finnish far-right group, and he called his Discord channel the same initials. Maybe that's what was complained about. So I'll just mention it's a Finnish far-right group and not tell you which it is, but use some initials. But even that may be a stretch, and I may be wrong about it. The right wing cranks Antifa without evidence, like they always do, out of guilt because they're responsible or connected to most murders lately. And again, with the Pelosi occurrence, again, Now, if this is going to get flagged as well, I hope they don't take down my channel. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. Links below in the description, hopefully.